Yo, what is up guys, it's me Beasley, and welcome to day 61 of the 2017-2018 NBA season. You guys already know that we got a few things to talk about today, but first, we gotta get into this quick word from this video's sponsor, SeatGeek. SeatGeek is the app that is a must-have for NBA fans who enjoy or want to go see games live. They let you see the view from the seat before you purchase, as well as rank the seats on a scale from 1 to 100 to make sure that you are getting the absolute best deal. Speaking of best deal, you can enter the promo code SDSEAT to receive $20 off your first order to make it an even better deal. Download the app in the description box below. Now with that out the way though, let's go. Game of the night last night was the Knicks versus Thunder. Wasn't the first time that these two teams played each other, as that happened back on their season openers in OKC, but this was the first time that Carmelo was back in Madison Square Garden since he was traded to the Thunder, and before the game, the jury was still out on how Melo's return would be perceived. Some people thought he would get booed, and that wasn't the case. Kind of. See, the Knicks of course made him a special tribute video. Some fans cheered, but then some fans booed as well. I mean, it's the Knicks, what can we expect? Carmelo was used to getting booed when he was playing for them when the team wasn't doing well, so not to expect some of that last night would be kind of unrealistic. Moving past the fundamentals though, the Thunder lost in Melo's homecoming. Melo with 12 points on 5 of 18 shooting. What a fantastic performance. 111 to 96 was the final score, and without Tim Hardaway Jr. as well as Kristaps Porzingis, New York had to turn to their desperation secret weapon in order to get the win last night. Michael Beasley.
I'm your favorite player.
That's a name that you hear once every blue moon. Michael Beasley.
My career is like none other.
And most of the time when you hear the name Michael Beasley, it's not attached to anything good. Up until now, for a variety of reasons, Michael Beasley has been considered a bust for the most part, taken with the second pick of the 2008 draft, right behind Derrick Rose and right before OJ Mayo by the Miami Heat. And at the time, he was seen as a great draft pick. He was getting compared to top scorers in the league already, such as Carmelo Anthony. Most people saw him as another Carmelo Anthony.
I'm literally just Carmelo on the left side of the floor.
As they say though, hindsight is 20/20. Looking back at the draft, if the Miami Heat had to do it all over again with players like Russell Westbrook, Kevin Love, Eric Gordon, Brook Lopez, DeAndre Jordan, Goran Dragic, Nick Batum, just a bunch of players who have had better careers than Michael Beasley, they would have taken any one of them over him in a heartbeat. Despite that though, for Beasley's first 3 years in the NBA, it seemed like things were going relatively well. He was able to up his scoring throughout all 3 of his first seasons, from 13.9 to 14.8, and after his sophomore year when he was traded to the Timberwolves, it seemed he was ready to have a breakout year as he put up just under 20 points per game. Since then though, he hasn't been talked about much. Like I said, for a variety of reasons, whether it just be drug related or for other reasons, he found himself bouncing in and out of the league from team to team, at best getting 15 or so minutes off the bench here or there whenever the team he was on was in need of very desperate scoring or the game was already decided. But with all the fuss about what's going inside Beasley's head and his drug problems that he had, the one thing no one ever questioned, well, maybe they did, but still, was his ability to put the ball in the basket. I talked about this over the summer. As soon as he was signed by the Knicks, Michael Beasley wouldn't stop talking about how great of a scorer he is and calling himself a walking bucket, saying that he has always been one of the best scorers in the NBA and is tired of not getting the respect he deserves. He just needs the opportunity to show what he can do. Since being signed with the Knicks though, when they were 100% healthy, he still wasn't being given the opportunity to show what he could do, to show that he could put up big numbers in the NBA. The first few games, I don't even think he got off the bench. In the month of October, he played in only 5 games, shot 40% from the field, and averaged 4 points on 12 minutes per game. Pretty far off the term walking bucket. But as the season progressed, with Porzingis being in and out of the lineup as well as Tim Hardaway Jr. being out for an extended period of time, Beasley has started to find himself more playing time, to the point now where in 16 minutes per game, he is averaging just under 10 points at 9.7, as well as shooting the ball 52% from the floor. 10 points doesn't seem like a lot, I know, but in only 16 minutes a game, he is showing that if he got starting minutes, he could probably average around 20 a night. And if the shooting percentages stayed at like the 50% they are now, he would have to be considered a walking bucket and one of the top scorers in the NBA. Speaking of which though, the whole if he got starters minutes, he had that opportunity a few times this season as well. See, Michael Beasley has started in 5 games for the Knicks this year because of all their injuries, and in those 5 games he has played an average of 27 minutes per game, and you guys know what he did when he gets 27 minutes per game: 19.6 points while shooting the ball at a blazing 57% from the field. Now, I don't know if Michael Beasley will ever find a team that will allow him to start and play starters minutes for a full 82 games. That might not ever happen. So we may never see him average 20 points per game in his career. But I gotta give the guy credit. He has been through a lot in the other league, bouncing from team to team to team, and still he never for a second doubted his ability to go out there and get buckets. He said before the season started what he's capable of doing given the opportunity, and now that he has gotten the opportunity a little bit with the Knicks, he has showed that he can do what he said he can do. He is a walking bucket.
I'm your favorite player, slave player.
Definitely want to just try to break the mold of guys, of the stereotype of this whole this prime thing. And I know what I'm doing has not been done a lot in the history of the game. Even at my age, and if you look at the minutes I've played, and consecutive finals I've been a part of, and just the toll on my body. It hasn't been done.
LeBron James just said that he is trying to break the stereotype of the whole you're in your prime at like 31 and is downhill after that for future generations. He's trying to show that about to be 33 years old, you can still have the best years of your career. It gets you thinking, in 10 years, how much different will players be? Will you see more players like LeBron, where they are still improving and not slowing down in their mid-30s, where they look at the career of LeBron, saw how he kept himself in such great condition, where he plays like he is 6 or 7 years younger than he actually is. So they follow his off-season regimen that he claims is the reason he's able to come back and play at such a high level every year. Will you see players do that and extend their careers, be great for longer periods of time? I for sure think that's possible because of what LeBron James is doing right now. So that's dope, but at the same time, what we have to be concerned about right now is that what we are seeing from LeBron James this year still might not even be LeBron at his best. If he said that he is trying to debunk the whole thing about athletes having their best years up until they hit 31 years old, that must mean that he is trying to show that he didn't have the best years back in 2012, 2013, 2014, and that he can still get better. And at this point, I mean, would it be too surprising if he came back next year even better? And what about the year after that? Look, I know it's hard to believe, but then again, LeBron was already supposed to have the best years of his career already, right? Yet this year, he is having right now what is considered by some to be the best year of his career yet. I mean, if you watched him play at all this year, you might have to agree with that. I mean, last night, he was amazing once again for the Cavs in the 109-100 win over the Jazz. 29 points, 10 assists, and 11 rebounds. It's unreal. Kawhi Leonard ain't playing no back-to-backs yet for the Spurs, so he sat out last night, of course. And the Spurs found themselves in some hot water last night against Dallas, down 9 headed into the final quarter. Things were really going well on the Dallas end. Until they had a complete meltdown in the fourth quarter to let the Spurs right back into the game. Their biggest meltdown of all, though, was the most costly one that they made, as with only seconds left in the game, the 40-year-old Manu Ginobili is able to blow right past the entire Dallas Mavericks defense to get the easy layup and get the Spurs the 98-96 win. A 40-year-old blowing past an entire defense for a game-winning layup. That is the definition of a complete meltdown. Not to take away from Manu Ginobili, though, he is great, but at the same time, he's 40, blowing past a defense. James Harden almost didn't even play in this game. He was having some knee pain, and doctors told him that he can play through it before the game, but it would be very painful, and he decided to play through it. Hopefully that decision doesn't come back to haunt him down the road, though. Really hoping it doesn't. But the Rockets fans should be glad that he did play if they wanted to get a win last night, because without James Harden, they would have for sure have lost this game to the Bucks. This was one of the closer games the Rockets have had over the course of their now 13-game winning streak. Final score read 115 to 111, but the game was really over at like the 2-minute mark of the fourth quarter. So it was close, but it wasn't necessarily a nail biter. It was a good game though. Chris Paul and James Harden did their things for Houston, combining for 56 points, while Eric Gordon and Nene Hilario were both key on the bench with 16 apiece. This game did show the importance of Clint Capella though. He missed last night's game with a bruised knee, and the Rockets have been a much better defensive team so far this year, and he is a big part of that. And normally teams don't score as much as Milwaukee did last night, so I am sure that they missed Clint Capella's presence down low. Giannis did do his usual thing for the Bucks though, as he had 28 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, and 4 steals. The Boston Celtics played 2 fantastic quarters, and then they played 2 not so great quarters. Luckily for them though, their 2 great quarters were enough to make up for their 2 not so great quarters as they get the 102-93 win over Memphis. Boston seemed like it was ready to cruise to an easy win in the first quarter. They were up 31-12 on Memphis after 1, but Marc Gasol and Tyreke Evans were really trying to assert themselves last night and just win the game by themselves. Gasol, especially as he was on fire, 11-19 from the field, 4-6 from deep, 30 points for Marc Gasol. Now 30 points might not seem like a lot with the way players are scoring today, but Gasol doesn't even have a big scoring mentality. It's not that often that you see him go out there and drop 30. He's still a great player, but just not one of the NBA's biggest scorers. Still wasn't enough though. Irving scored 20 for the Celtics, while Jason Tatum played really well with 19 points and 9 rebounds. If there's any team in the NBA that you don't want to lose to right now, it would be the Phoenix Suns. They don't even have Devin Booker, so you can't just say that he got hot and we lost. There's nothing we can do about that. They ain't got that, so there really is no excuse. The Wolves, the game after I made a video talking about Karl Anthony Towns, go ahead and decide that, you know what, it's okay if we lose to this Devin Booker-less Phoenix Suns team. It's not okay. 108-106. Isaiah Cannon, who the Suns just signed on Wednesday, played his first game for the Suns and scored 15 points, while Troy Daniels hit 4 triples off the bench to score 17. Karl Anthony Towns at 28-11 for the Wolves. Think of it like this. At this rate, we might get to see Kemba Walker on a new team in like 2 months max, as the Charlotte Hornets just continue to lose. At least they put up a fight last night though, and it was against the Blazers, so it's not like it's a bad loss. However, a loss is still a loss. And for the Hornets, a team that a lot of people were expecting to make the playoffs this year, being now 10-19 on the year, is disappointing to say the least. 93-91 was the final score. CJ McCollum was the main scorer for the Blazers last night, dropping 25, while Lillard did a little bit of everything with 18 points, 11 assists, and 7 rebounds. The Miami Heat are finally above 500 again. They're hanging in there. I kind of expect them to start playing better at some point of the season, go on a big run, but until that happens, it is good that they're at least right there in the playoff picture for the moment. They got another win last night, 90-85 over the Los Angeles Clippers, despite Milos Teodosic being allowed to play last night. Josh Richardson was on fire for the Heat yesterday though, scoring 28 points while hitting 6 of his 8 triple attempts. And that wraps up all the action from last night. You guys can go vote for the player of the day by clicking this little card right here. Just remember, the only players whose team won are eligible to win player of the day. And yesterday, you guys selected Chris Paul, barely, just 1% over Russell Westbrook, and his 28 points, 8 assists, and 7 steals as your player of the day. Thank you guys so much for watching though. Make sure to smack that like button and your favorite team will win the next game, as well as subscribe to the channel to make sure your favorite team wins a championship in the future. But until tomorrow, keep getting the Bucks Team STC, and I'm out of here. Peace!